In this video I'm going to be making a pair of long nose pliers. I recently got accepted into university and on the tool list was a pair of pliers or a set of pliers. So I thought, well, why don't I try making it? So this will be probably one of 5 tools that I'll be making for uni. With all that said though, I hope you enjoy the video. I first tried forging this out of an old rail clip which didn't go quite to plan, as it had cracked the steel. Thankfully though, to Campfield Knives on TikTok said that 5160, which is the steel I'm using here, doesn't like being forged too cold, which I must have been forging way too cold for what it is recommended to be forged at. And Apocalypse Forge was saying spring steel before the 1950s was a more high carbon steel than what we use nowadays. I'll link both of their socials in the description below. So instead of using the spring steel which I was intending on using, I ended up using leftover spanner material I had from making a bushcraft knife on TikTok. After drawing out the material, I made my first set down for the first draw of the pliers. Conveniently, my anvil is fairly new and had some really sharp corners to it, so I used this to my advantage to help make the jaws and square up the hinge section. After squaring out the material and upsetting the corners, I then drew out the rest of the material for the jaws and the handle. After I'd made the basic shapes and drew out the material, I then went to the horn of the anvil to bend the handle into the desired shape that I had referenced on a sheet of steel. After forging, I ground down the edges to get them matching and flush with each other. Then I centre punched the middle and made sure there was enough clearance for the hinge where I had marked the centre point. It was then time to drill the holes for the rivet, starting off with a smaller drill bit and working my way up. So I ended up drilling one of the holes too big, and so I made this little rivet thing where it's got a bigger end at one end, so it's about 9 or 10 mil, and then this is a 8 mil, which is what I was going to leave it as, but I thought it's going to be an 8.5 bit, but it ended up being an extra 2 mil bigger. But anyway, yep, I messed up, but I've made this and it seems to work alright, so. Using a washer as a reference, I rounded off the edges of the hinge. And using my blowtorch and the hardy hole of my anvil, I bent back the handles so that they would not overlap. Using my Dremel, I ground out the halves of the hinge so that they fit flush with each other. I wanted to practice this method because I hadn't really tried it before, and I really like using the Dremel in this way. However, I did buy a cheap Dremel pen attachment, which meant the drill bit kept them coming loose occasionally. I got there in the end though. I did a goof. I accidentally removed way too much there, thinking that was going to give me clearance for the sort of back of the hinge, and nope, that did not. That just ended up leaving a big chunk out of it, so. Okay, so I've got this far. I've got all the holes drilled for the handle. The only other holes I need to drill now is for the spring. I was a bit confused to start off with whether if I was going to tap the holes I had just drilled for the spring or use brass rivets, and I ended up going for brass rivets. Finally, it was time to join the two halves of the pliers. I then formed the cutting bits for the wire cutters. And finally heat treated the pliers, leaving the handle just to be made. The wood I'm using here is silver birch, and I found it while I was on my dog walk. Using a piece of stainless steel bar in the vise, I tapped over the other end of the rivet to hold the spring on. And I did this for both sides of the spring. After all the wood and the metal were flush, it was time to shape the handle and put in the rivets. Yet another challenge. Not too bad though. It's only just that, which I have the other piece, but what I'll do is just glue this on, and yeah, hopefully that stays put. But it wasn't just that one that started cracking. It's that one too. After sanding it to a fine finish and getting it all smooth and putting some linseed oil on it, it was finally done. Thank you if you got this far in the video, and if you enjoyed it, don't forget to hit the like button, and I should have more content like this coming out soon. With that said, here's the final result.